The Brew House was created to capture and share with you the long history of the Genesee Brewery, but the brewery itself isn't half as interesting as the beer and the people who make it. Visit GeneseeBrewHouse.com. This weekend on the Original Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brew House.
I'm Adam Terry, former NFL player and All-American at Syracuse, and today you're going to realize why Syracuse is going to come back to national prominence.
And I'm Dave Yates. Major League Baseball, if you're going to use replay, use it. Don't just use it half the time.
And I'm Mike Catalana. I'll tell you why you're missing the best show in sports.
And the Bills-Dolphins surest bet of the year. Join us this weekend on the Original Rochester Press Box. And welcome into the Original Rochester Press Box, presented by the mighty Genesee Brew House. We are on location. My pleasure to welcome in Dave Yates, who sits in for John DiTullio this week. Dave.
Hey, Bill, thanks for having me back in.
From the Division High School Sports Beat, Classic Wolf Media, Eastridge School District.
Yep.
You get around.
I'm busy this time of year, that's for sure.
Co-hosting Mike Catalana from 13 WHAM News.
Good to be back.
And it is our pleasure to invite the, still at his playing height, 6'8", Adam Terry, Syracuse University class of 2005, 7 years in the NFL, married into Rochester, and it's great to have you here. Owns a couple of sports performance centers, and we'll talk about those in a little while. Let's tap into your Syracuse experience. We just had the college football poll come out. You know, there's a lot of excitement involving college football, and Syracuse is on the outside looking in at all of this. Mm-hmm. You played for some good teams with Coach Pasqualoni. What's the ceiling for the Syracuse football program? What can it do?
Well, I think you're looking back and saying, hey, can you get back into national prominence? And you know, I think they have a quarterback that you can build around, and use the word of franchise, but use that and say, hey, Syracuse can reemerge with a kid like Eric Dungy. And then on defense, you've got a leader in Zaire Franklin. And to me, it's come back into that top 25 poll. And is it going to happen overnight? As we've seen, no, it's not. But, they have a lot of the right pieces in place.
How good, not this team necessarily, but the program itself? I mean, will we ever see Syracuse in that Final Four?
Sure. I mean, you start to see everybody coming across and different and less relevant conferences. And, the hard part about it is now you're in the ACC. You used to be in the Big East, and now the ACC it's a strong conference. And, and they're competing against upper echelon programs to recruit. It's a lot harder. But as you start to see it, they can build. They're going out. They're doing a great job in recruiting. And now it's just build the infrastructure within. Make sure you've got everybody in place, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, which, I like Lester and Chuck Bulla when those kids are dialed up and coming off the ball and the blitz scheme that they have, they're doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, I detect almost no buzz. The crowd isn't there.
Well, it's tough to get that back, but it is funny. I watched Temple this weekend, and I'm from around Philly, and Temple really was down and down and down. And you see them come back up again, create a buzz. Now they're talking about building a stadium and trying to get all this. But the downside for Temple, so the point we're making here is, I don't think they're in the conference that can challenge. So it's double-edged for Syracuse. You are in a tough conference, but that's also a power conference. So if you can elevate, you're going to get the respect nationally. And there's going to be ACC teams challenging. We've seen Florida State, obviously, Clemson, those kind of schools. If you can do it, you can get there from the conference. They just got a long way to go.
You've got those teams in Florida and Carolinas that in their backyard, they can get top quality players right out. Not that the players in this area aren't good, but you go down there, it's a different breed. And I think that's where Syracuse is really facing the uphill battle.
Yeah, that first CFP poll is out, and there were some surprises. What do you think?
It's so early and there's so much still to go. It's almost like, I saw online someone's predicting who's going to be strong for Major League Baseball next year. And in college football, so much can change in the course of 1 week. It's almost it's almost too early to poke into that.
I think in the first poll last year, I think Ohio State might have been 16th in the poll. So, I mean, it's fun for a little bit of arguments, but there's plenty of football left.
I like, though, that they really appear to be looking at a different set of criteria than like the other two polls that used to exist. I mean, leaving Baylor out, sixth, that's bold, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, you still got a lot of the season left. You've got, five games left, 6 games left, depending on where you are, if you've got a conference championship game. Some of these lower level guys that are, on the outskirts looking in. They've got to do a lot. Temple did a fantastic job, but as you saw, they went against a quote-unquote national power who's reemerging in Notre Dame, and they faltered. Great game.
Credit for winning that too.
Great game, but it was but it's one that's where you're going to start to see, hey, those outside looking in type conferences. They're still competing against the big buzzsaws.
And one other quick thing, Dave's talking about recruiting in the South. You know what Harbaugh did? I mean, Harbaugh went down to camps in Alabama. He's going in their backyard and saying, I'm going to bring these kids up to Michigan. Ohio State's been able to do it. Penn State's had some really good recruiting years. All of a sudden, these schools in the Northeast where everybody thinks every kid's going to stay in Florida, Texas, they can come north. Syracuse got talent. They just have to get more to come up here.
This is the original Rochester Press Box presented by the mighty Genesee Brew House. We talk about the NFL and the Buffalo Bills next. The game coming up next. For over 25 years, Hillside Work Scholarship Connection has empowered youth to embrace their dreams of college and careers. Thanks to a dedicated staff and employment partners, every year Hillside helps more than 4,000 young men and women move closer to their life goals. The Buffalo Bills Quote of the Week was brought to you by the Rochester Geico Office. Give the Rochester Geico team a chance to see how much you could save on all your insurance needs. Call or stop by the office on West Henrietta Road, open Monday through Saturday. Jim Kelly's quotes on Tyrod Taylor, of course, presented here at the Rochester Press Box last week. What do you think?
Yeah, he's their best option to be. Jim's been supportive of a lot of guys, but there is a little spark in his voice when he talks about Tyrod. He's liked him all year long. I think it's going to be interesting to see him back there. So if Jim Kelly says it, I'm all right with it.
All right. This portion of the Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brew House is brought to you by our friends at the Hillside family of agencies, and it's time to talk NFL. Mike, we always go to you first. It's the Dolphins coming to town, after throttling them down there.
Yeah.
They come here.
Yeah, it's been the best performance of the year when the Bills went down to Miami. Both sides of the ball, special everything. They were great that game. Miami's a different team. I think too much was made of the Dolphins. After they made the coaching change, they played two bad teams, and then they met up with the Patriots. Maybe they're better. They certainly have talent, but I think the Bills are the more desperate team. Absolutely desperate for this game, and they are getting healthier, and they do have Tyrod back for this game. The season's on the line here. Rex can say what he wants. The Dolphins game and then the Jets game. I'm not even going to worry about New England. These are the two games I think they must win to be in the chase. I think they get it done against Miami. I like them a lot this week.
The line is 3.
I like the Bills to cover. I think win by a touchdown or more. I think they'll get it. They get after Tannehill. There's just a reason. They get after the guy. I think they play well, and they learned a lesson from last year. They beat Miami the first time, thought they had their number, and then when gotten smoked the second game, I think they win.
Adam, it's just a few weeks since they played in Miami. Miami underwent a coaching change that appeared to make a difference. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, no matter beginning of the season, end of the season, when a coach gets fired, there's new blood. There's guys on the practice squad saying, "Hey, I have an ability to make that jump," or I've got that second-tier offensive lineman that's saying, "Hey, I can do this." So there's a little bit more pep in everybody's step. Now it's, can they sustain that?
Unusual. You never went through that, did you? A mid-season coaching
No,
change?
end of the season. When I was down in Baltimore, Brian Billick got fired at the end of the season. Harbaugh came in. But it was, we sat in the meeting room. It was completely different culture, different verbiage, a little tighter knit, not as loose. And you look at a guy like Rex Ryan, and Rex is, loose environment. But then you start to see those guys underneath him. And, a Greg Roman with a Tyrod Taylor. You saw what he did with Kaepernick out in San Francisco. And you just hope that Tyrod comes back healthy and they're ready to rock and roll.
Line is 3. Who do you like?
If it's a close game, I like I like Buffalo.
This, like you said, this is the game they have to. It's a make or break time for them, and I think having Taylor back is so huge for them, and just makes everything just so different for them. I see them winning, and I think they'll take care of them pretty easily.
I think for those same reasons. This to me is the most clear one so far that they played. Is that they're so desperate, they've got to win this. So give me a secondary game.
Secondary game, I'm going to go with Atlanta over San Francisco. Spread is 7. I think the 49ers are a mess right now. They're making a trade of a guy like, have they thrown in the towel when they get rid of their tight end Vernon Davis? It's like, I think I think they're a mess.
Secondary game?
I'm looking at the San Diego game over Chicago, and it's 4, I think, and I really like San Diego. You look, one of my former teams, and all the Pagano family's on the hot seat right now, so I see John Pagano dialing it up for everybody and really getting that going with Phillip Rivers leading the way.
Yeah, speaking of Pagano on the hot seat, I like Peyton to go into Indianapolis and win big. I did not like Pep Hamilton taking the heat as the offensive coordinator for the Colts. A year ago, he had that offense humming. They've made so many mistakes. I think that thing is imploding from within. Peyton comes back, sets some records, wins big. I feel for Andrew Luck. He's a talented guy, but that team's a mess right now.
I like the Packers rebounding at Carolina and knocking off the still unbeaten Panthers. John DeTullio is not with us. Has sent in his picks. He likes the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. This week's Hillside Family of Agencies NFL pick being made by Joel Russell, waiver services provider, and the kids from the Western Region Bridges to Health program. They picked the Bills against Miami, and their secondary NFL game, they like the New York Giants giving 2.5 at Tampa Bay. This portion of the original Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brew House is sponsored by our friends at the Hillside Family of Agencies. And we'll be back with Like It or Not next. As we go to break, it is time for the Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning Trivia Question of the Week. When you're searching for a local heating and air conditioning contractor, look no further than one of the most reliable teams in the area at Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning. Is called Turnbull at 343-2005. As we come back from the break, time for the answer to the Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning Trivia Question of the Week. When you're searching for a local heating and air conditioning contractor, look no further than one of the most reliable teams in the area at Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning. Just call 343-2005. See New York in a whole new way. Amtrak is offering a 15% discount for all travel inside New York State and to Montreal. Visit Amtrak.com for the See New York discount. Safe, comfortable, affordable, and easy. Amtrak. Enjoy the journey. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box presented by the mighty Genesee Brew House. We are on location at the Brew House. This portion of the Press Box is being brought to you by Amtrak Trains. Enjoy the journey. Adam Terry is our special guest here. Look, you've got a couple of sports performance businesses operating in town. Tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, so Powertrain Sports and Fitness. We've been in Rochester for 4 years now. Been a fantastic start for me. It took what I loved in sports and talking to people, meeting people, and getting them better. And then that parlayed into this career. Right now we're at 30 locations. We'll be at 47 by the end of next year. What it is a higher end. It's not a Planet Fitness or anything like that. It's a smaller facility where you get a 3-to-1 individualized attention. So 3 athletes to 1 trainer. That's our motto, and that's how we built our business over a period of time. it's been fantastic. We're growing as a business, but then we're also growing in town and reaching more and more people every day.
Good. Keep up the good work. Like it or not, making the NFL trade deadline a little more interesting.
Well, I think it's hard to make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe there's more hype on it. My old agent tried to make it relevant with a trade from Joe Thomas to the Denver Broncos, and they couldn't meet in the middle there. But it's hard because the continuity of a team is there and an offense is there. So you're pulling a guy across divisions and everything like that. So it makes it pretty difficult. Could it be sexier? Sure, could be. With a little bit more hype, like they have the draft.
So good at making these things sexy.
Of course, when
But
there's
they missed
dollars
the boat
behind it.
here.
Oh, well, there's no dollars behind it. Now it's just making a team relevant or not. And like I said, with baseball, it's easy. You get a reliever, you just change locker rooms, or you walk them down another hallway.
Yeah.
In football, it's a lot different.
I'd be curious, from your perspective, you're playing on the Browns, and they trade Joe Thomas for a draft pick.
Yeah.
That can't go over too well in the room.
Well, now I'm Joe Thomas. Now I'm sitting in the room saying, he really didn't want me,
Yeah.
and you couldn't meet, and now it's all in, all the dirty laundry's aired. That's a hard thing to go back now and say that, there was a fire sale over there.
Like it or not, Dave, the Kansas City Royals won the World Series.
Love it. I really do. I mean, as a Red Sox fan, anytime the Mets lose, I got but no, I really, sorry about that, Jeff. But I think it's just the way they did it. They came up when they needed it with guys that, those of us around here don't really know a lot about, but they were just lights out when they had to be. They came out in the clutch. They came through when they needed to, and the Mets couldn't match it.
And the way they did it, they might change the game and the way, the other teams think about it.
I think it will for a little while, and then everything will catch up, and it's all cyclical. Something else will come back, and they'll probably that way will change again.
Striking out 200 times. This portion of the original Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brew House, brought to you by Amtrak Trains. Enjoy the journey. Unfinished business is next. The Rochester Press Box Stat of the Week, brought to you by Cariglio's Pizza, with 5 locations serving the Rochester area. Visit carigliospizza.com today.
And you don't need to be Native American to realize it is offensive. And it's not politically correct. It's the right thing to do.
He was an idiot for throwing him that pitch. The guy's phenomenal. He had no reason to give him anything, especially a fastball to hit.
It's simply that these two guys, Ronaldo and Tom Brady, are too good looking.
I like it, just don't admit to it.
Everybody wants to hate on the best in the world. He's here to stay, and he wants to build something big time.
The bottom line is, still nobody's going to like A-Rod.
Our Rochester Press Box Genesee Brew House Fan of the Week is Patrick Polano from Henrietta. He receives a $25 gift card and a Press Box t-shirt from Brew House manager Laura Van Valkenburg. And thank you for watching the original Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brew House. Introducing Dunkin's new sweet black pepper bacon sandwich with double the slices of caramelized crispy pepper bacon. It is the bacon experience you've been waiting for. Bacon up! America runs on Dunkin'. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box presented by the mighty Genesee Brew House. This portion of the Press Box brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin', unfinished business. Dave.
Bill, we were talking about baseball a little while ago, and talk about instant replay in baseball. I want to know, why is it that the pitch a guy hits a home run on, you can go look at that in replay to see if it's fair or foul, but the pitch before that he could have been called out on strikes on isn't important enough to look at. They've got to be more consistent, I think, about what they deem to be replay worthy or not. And why don't we just go with the electronic strike call? Let the ump back there for calls at the plate and stuff like that, but you're always sitting there saying, that was a strike. It was obviously a strike. The ump blew it. I know the human error is part of the element, but if they want to get rid of it, only some of the time, let's do it all the time.
Yeah, the umpires union have a problem with that. It's one of the, like you said, but it always happens. It's like when a guy misses a bunt, he'll get a hit. When a guy hits a ball that should, or a strike should have been called, he will get a hit. And when a guy gets thrown out of second base, the next guy will walk. It absolutely works like the other unwritten rules of baseball. Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Yeah.
For me, I could go blab about powertrain, but realistically, the thing for me right now is I had to leave early from a games organizing committee for Special Olympics, something that's near and dear to my heart, and it's something that's out there. As an athlete, you go and you watch a lot of these athletes go out there and participate. It's a fantastic event. It'll be out in Brockport at the end of the year. But then we can also start talking a little bit about football. I do like what we start to see out of a Syracuse offense right now, as well as, when they are dialed up, what a Syracuse defense looks like. And, for me, I'm hoping and praying every night that, they're right back in the national relevance, so that when my son comes, or both my sons come, I don't know if they're going to be playing football, they might be able to shoot a hoop. Syracuse is ready and willing and able to participate in the national spotlight.
Yeah, it goes back to our first segment discussion. Boy, right now it just seems so far away, though.
We'll see if they turn it around. All right, you want your kids to watch somebody play basketball? I've had people say to me, I don't watch the NBA. I don't like the NBA. That's fine in general if you want to say that, but you are missing the best show in sports going on right now, and it's Steph Curry. Now, we've seen it in the past couple of years, but this year the guy has come out and has been spectacular. Beyond anything I think we've seen from an efficiency standpoint, and I'm not much for hyperbole to say this guy's the best at this, the best at that, but I have never seen a combination of a guy handling the ball and shooting the ball like Steph Curry. We've had great shooters, we've had great guys with handle, but I've never seen the combination of both. And what I hope it is that this leads many young players, you're never going to be Steph Curry, but to work on those fundamentals, because his fundamentals are off the charts. If you get a chance to see the Warriors, I know they're on late at night, check them out when they're on the national game. It is appointment television to watch this guy. He is the dominant player in pro sports right now. He's worth watching, and he gives it that effort every night.
And what the best part about him is he is so like people out there. You can see him and he says, I could do that. You can work towards that. He's very identifiable.
He's a skinny 6'3" guy out there playing. He's not a giant. He's not that superstar athlete to look at, but when you watch him play, spectacular.
This portion of the original Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brew House and brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Thank you for watching. Dave, thank you very much.
Bill, thanks
Sit
for
down,
having me
see if
again.
you can convince John to come back next week.
Try not to, okay?
Mike, thank you as always.
Sure.
Adam, it's been a real pleasure. There should be no surprise you were good at this because, of course, you also work at Time Warner doing the Syracuse postgame. Yeah, nice job there, too. So thank you for joining us. We'll have you back. And thank you once again for watching the original Rochester Press Box. We'll see you again next week.